Rev up your engines!
Well, here's some financial carnage you might find interesting. Old Warren Buffett, Berkshire Hathaway, just sold the rest of his GM stock. He's gotten rid of it all. He realizes GM is going down the toilet. And here is a hilarious thing. This shows you why you shouldn't put your money in the stock market. It's all rigged for rich people. The Warren Buffett-led conglomerate Berkshire Hathaway also asked the Securities and Exchange Commission that one or more of its equity holdings be kept confidential. This is insane. It's supposed to be a matter of public record. The stock market. People buy the stock. These rich people, they ask for special permission. Oh, can we hide what we bought? We don't want anybody to know, you know? And then they do stuff like, can you hide what we're selling? Because if you know anything about the stock market, when people are buying a stock, a lot of people buying it, the price goes up. But if you're selling millions of shares of stock, it starts to go down because selling, and the price goes down. And it goes down pretty fast, right? Well, these rich guys, they get away with, well, we don't have to tell people we're selling it. So they sell them, and then they say months later, well, we sold that months ago, you know? It's rigged for rich people. It's a good old boys network. Oh, you try asking the Securities and Exchange, pardon me, could you keep my holdings secret so nobody knows what's happening? Anybody that doesn't realize the whole system is rigged. Thank goodness a lot of Americans are realizing they're taking their money out of the stock market because they're finding out it's just rigged for rich people to get their hands on your money. And then when the stock goes down, they sell it short, make money even while it's going down. Well, your money disappears. Old Warren, he's given up with GM. You know, I gave up with him decades ago, but he's given up with it, got rid of all of his GM stock, and probably some other, but we won't know about that because he's asked for secrecy from the Securities and Exchange Commission, and I'm sure they'll give it to him because they have many times in the past. It's a rigged system for rich people. Well, oil prices are slipping now. It's gone insane, the price of oil lately, for all kinds of weird reasons that nobody can understand. Now they're saying the price has slipped because the United States is building up crude, pumping more crude. We're sending a ton of crude to Europe, right? The investors are worried about China. Now, originally, the price of oil went up because they said the Chinese buy a bunch of oil. They're buying oil. The price is going to go up. The Chinese are buying oil. But now, with the recession that's already started, even though people saying it hasn't, it's a little baloney, it has, the Chinese demand is down, and they're all worried. The Chinese, they're not going to be buying much oil. So if they're not buying oil, the price is going to down even further because they're not buying oil. Yeah. No matter what happens, they're going to complain. You know, they're complaining the Chinese are using too much oil. Now they're complaining the Chinese aren't using enough oil, but it's making the price go down, and that's one of the reasons the price of the pump is going down somewhat. There's no logic behind the price of oil these days, really. And since property sales in China have gone down 20%, they think, China's falling apart. They're not going to buy stuff. So property prices go down in China, and it makes the price of oil go down. The world's kind of getting squirrely now. They're looking for any kind of excuse, any reason that they give, whether it's logical or not. But that's how it goes in the oil business. The price is down. Now gas costs you less at the pump. Who knows? Soon they'll come up with some other excuse and they'll raise it back up again. So you never know what's going to go on. Other than they're making a lot of money in taxes because they're exporting a ton of oil to Europe because they're not supposed to buy the Russian oil. So now they're buying American oil. Kind of like World War II all over again, where Europe floated on a sea of Texas oil to victory. Well, now they're heating and driving their cars and diesel trucks on Texas oil. And for some reason, the price is going down. Be happy for a while. They'll come up with some excuse to make it go up again soon. I guarantee you that. Well, I can't help but laugh at this. Recycled car interiors are now the new chic luxury for cars. People want to feel better about themselves, so rather than have leather seats in their cars, they're getting recycled plastic and stuff. What's happening is the car makers are actually lining their electric vehicles with trash, recycled stuff to make the interiors. They turn recycled denim jeans, fishing nets, plastic bottles, or even mushroom roots into parts of the inside of your car. Now, the car makers say, it's what today's premium customers prefer in place of plush leather or polished wood. Oh, yeah? No. You're telling them that's what they like. They want polished wood. They want leather. Don't give me this BS. People have luxury cars. They want luxury stuff in it. They don't want recycled pop bottles and mushroom roots, right? I mean, come on now. You remember in the past, some companies, they were using soybean-based coatings for the wiring, right, instead of plastic. And then the rats and roaches ate them and shorted the cars out. And they're like, oh, and I had to cut the customers' cars. A lot of times they refused to fix it. Oh, you're out of warranty now. Hey, you made edible wiring, okay, and then things ate it. Now, to me, that's a mistake. And of course, Volvo headlines it because they're kind of a snobmobile company, right, even though the Chinese know. And Volvo says, sustainability is a luxury. It speaks to a younger generation. Them and their horse manure, you know? So what has Volvo done? Their interiors have fabric sewn from denim scraps, a dashboard woven with thread from flax and linseed plants, and speckled door accents made from ground-up vinyl window frames. You know, I mean, it's just kind of ridiculous. The tiny amount of stuff that they're using making this stuff, and they collect all these things and say, look, we're recycling it. Come on now. It's just a sales gimmick, you know? So Volvo says, our EX30 has the smallest carbon footprint of any Volvo. Carbon footprint. They're cars. They're big. They got a big carbon footprint making them, you know? I mean, come on now. Stop telling stories to people. It's fantasy, right? And this is all because they're trying to say, we're going to be carbon neutral. Carbon neutral. What a meaningless phrase that is. Well, here's an interesting one. A University of Houston researcher suggests that hydrogen fuel can be a competitive alternative to gasoline and diesel. The problem is, this is a, in quotes, researcher at Houston, right? Well, guess what's in Houston? All the oil and gas companies that make all the hydrogen already, and they want to make money out of the deal. Well, one of the co-authors of this research is, get this, co-founder and chief executive officer of Kirabex Incorporated, a global carbon credit issuance service and marketplace that specializes in the monetization of carbon credits derived from industrial and agricultural carbon dioxide capture. So, of course, they have an ulterior motive here. That's the problem with research these days, even at universities. It used to be that they did the scientific method. They look at all the data, they analyze it, come to a conclusion. But now they start out with the conclusion and they try to work backwards to prove that it's a good conclusion, right? I wouldn't put much into this study from the University of Houston, you know? That thing's slanted to begin with. They're selling a product already. They make a ton of hydrogen. The petrochemical corporations have been making hydrogen for a long time. Realize, gasoline is hydrocarbons. It's nothing but hydrogen and carbon mixed in a bunch of different formulations. Most of the hydrogen that people use these days comes from petrochemicals. So it's kind of a slanted study. Now, yeah, hydrogen can be used as a fuel. There's no arguing that. The United States Air Force used it for years with experiments in planes, in trucks, and cars that they had. And they found out it worked okay, but the problem was there was no hydrogen infrastructure, so they gave up with the whole thing. Well, now they're coming around and trying to sell hydrogen as a, in quotes, clean fuel. Yeah, it's cleaner than gasoline, but it's still hydrocarbons that you're burning. And all this carbon credit BS, it's just a way for people to make money by reshuffling the tables on the deck of the Titanic as it goes under, right? But they'll call it green because they can, yeah, they call it whatever they want. They take a lot of these studies now with a real grain of salt. See who's backing the studies. It's like tobacco companies used to have studies saying, oh, tobacco's good for you. Yeah, sure, they pay the scientists off. Then there was a guy that said, sugar's good for you, fat is bad. Guy from, I believe it was Harvard, and then they found out later he was getting all kinds of money. The companies that sell sugar and stuff. And it turns out that healthy fat is better for you than sugar. They pushed it for years, you know, fat-free, and all they were doing was giving you sugar instead of fat, which is actually worse. And in this case, saying, oh, well, hydrogen will make it clean. No, it isn't really all that clean, you know? Let's face the facts. They're just reshuffling the deck here. I find it funny, though, it's at the University of Houston, the heartland of the petrochemical industry, right? Who do you think pays for all their grants and football stadiums and stuff? PFM Ducati says, I'm looking for a $4,000 budget used truck. A lot of people have Tacomas, but is there a truck that I can get for $5,000, 1988 to 2004? That's a good truck. All right. Well, here's the thing. Everybody wants trucks. The price of trucks has gone up. If you can find a Tacoma that doesn't have 1 million miles on it, get a guy like me, check it out, tell you if it's good or not, buy it. The Nissan Frontiers are not bad. Their resale values are much lower because Nissan has a very bad reputation, but most of it is from their cars, and their trucks are okay. So you can take advantage of a bad name and get a decent used truck. right? You could also look at Ford Rangers. They're nowhere near as good as the Tacomas, but they can still last a while, and their resale value is pretty low too, so you might look at the Ford Ranger trucks. $5,000 for a used truck these days isn't going to get you all that much, but you never know. Try to find if some kid out of high school had one. He's joined the Army, and his parents are selling it. You never know what you're going to run into. If you can find a Tacoma, of course, get one, but if you can't, the Frontiers and the Rangers, they can be decent trucks. I would stay away from GM products because a lot of their products, late model ones, they're gone to garbage, and when they're used, you really don't want to buy them. They're bad enough new. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.